Welcome to a fireside chat with Tailwind and Pinterest. I am Susan Moeller. I'm the Director of Marketing at Tailwind. Tailwind is very proud to be a part of Pinterest Partner Program, and we're super happy today to host Madison Smith, who is going to catch us all up on the latest best practices at Pinterest. Madison is the Strategic Partner Manager for Platforms and Agencies at Pinterest. She's been with Pinterest almost 3 years and develops programs for talent agencies and platform partners like Tailwind to provide creatives with important Pinterest education, strategy advice, and content opportunities. Madison, welcome. Let's dive in.
Thank you so much, Susan. I'm so excited. Thank you all for joining us. And yes, let's go ahead and jump in. So, whether you're a creator, a small business owner, or another type of content supplier, I know we have a ton of them here. So again, thank you so much all for joining. We always understand that, producing content that truly aligns with your audience can sometimes feel overwhelming. So at Pinterest, our focus is on easing that process, enabling you to invest your creativity more in doing what you love, hitting your goals, less of that like grappling with the intricacies of publishing that content. And we know that you're juggling multiple responsibilities every single day. So we're really committed to making the Pinterest content publishing workflow as easy as possible by partnering with powerful, intuitive, creative tools. And this is where our partnership with Tailwind comes into play. So to kick us off, I'd like to share with you, why should you be creating on Pinterest? I'm going to go through kind of some of our most recent platform updates and then go through a couple of our 2024 best practices. So just so you all know, Pinterest has a very unique position at this intersection of search, social, and commerce. And every day at this massive scale, people are coming to Pinterest to search for inspiration, curate and collaborate with others to update their look or plan their next project, and to buy products that will help them achieve their ideas. And this shopping behavior, really at its core, moves between inspiration, discovery, and action. And Pinterest is that one place that really brings all of those things together, which is why it's a great place for everyone. And because, we believe that everyone can bring inspiration to the global audiences that we have and help people turn this inspiration into reality. People on Pinterest are looking to level up their everyday lives. They need content from people like you to find healthy dinner recipes, ways to celebrate special moments, um, like birthday parties, bucket list trips, all those fun things you can think of, and really plan for what's next, like home renovations, a new baby. And like I mentioned, they're constantly looking to discover, decide, and do. Pinterest users come to discover their next great idea. In fact, users report that 97% of top search results on Pinterest are unbranded. They come to decide by searching for specific ideas and making those plans with them. There are actually over 6 billion searches a month on Pinterest. And they come to do by buying and trying the ideas they find on Pinterest. We've seen more than a 50% increase in click-throughs and saves of buyable items in Q2 2023 compared to the year before. A little about the Pinterest audience. So each month, nearly 500 million people use Pinterest to find these ideas and inspire their next purchases. You will truly find the most passionate, loyal audience on Pinterest. Everyone wants to try new things. And this means that Pinterest appeals to everybody from Gen Z students to millennial men and travel obsessed retirees. They're all here for inspiring, actionable ideas. And there's even more to that. We have over 1.5 billion pins per week that are being saved to more than 10 billion boards to help people plan and organize what to make, buy, or do. And your ideas can be featured front and center right when those people are in that planning stage. And the more people that are engaging with or saving your ideas, the more that content will show up across Pinterest for millions of other people to discover. Since you don't need to necessarily follow someone on Pinterest to be able to find their content, your reach truly on Pinterest goes well beyond your followers. There are many reasons why Pinterest is so valuable for your content. Your content seamlessly integrates into a pinner's search and discovery experience, guiding them towards their goals rather than diverting their attention. And content also doesn't disappear after 24 hours like on other platforms. Instead, it lasts forever on Pinterest, and your ideas, continue to be rediscovered to inspire people long after you've posted about them. By intentionally prioritizing, nourishing, and inspiring content, Pinterest doesn't detract from people's lives. It actually improves it. We did a whole research study that shows Pinterest is a positive place for millions of people every day. This study was done in partnership with UC Berkeley's Greater Good Science Center. And in that research, we found that just 10 minutes a day seeking out inspiration on Pinterest buffered against the rising burnout, stress, and social disconnectedness in research participants. Pinterest seamlessly integrates with content management platforms and your social accounts, enabling you to easily bring your content over to Pinterest. And when you want to monetize that content, our e-commerce features like shoppable pins, product tagging, you can direct link out to your external websites to really help drive that traffic and sales and conversions directly from your content. We've also made it a priority to build an inclusive product. So we want every user, regardless of their background, to feel celebrated on Pinterest. And we've created experiences like our skin tone ranges tool, our hair pattern search tool, which give users the tools to find the beauty results that are just right for them and their complexion or hair texture. And we actually recently launched our body type technology tool, which uses shape, size, and form to identify various body types on images across Pinterest. So if you haven't utilized those tools, go ahead and check them out now. At Pinterest, we've also been busy improving our features. So we have some big feature launches that we're so excited about. The first is that Pinterest has simplified its creation flow by combining all of its creation features into a single stream, including functionality that up until now was only available in certain pin formats. So all those expressive features creators have come to love, like product tagging, stickers, those are all now available to all pinners for video and image content. And when you use Tailwind to create your content, you'll see the platform has also been updated with those pin formats streamlined into one. And then our final new feature is going to be called Board Preview. So this is a little insider for all of you watching, but we will be having this new feature launch in the next month or two. So very excited about this. With this feature, we're making it easier than ever to share boards off platform. So Pinterest users who consider their boards a product of their curation and want to show off their aesthetic, their taste, their point of view, will be able to share their boards to Instagram stories in a visually dynamic video that links back to their board. Or you can download the video and you can share it anywhere off platform. If you want to share it to your TikTok, to your to X, whatever you want to do, this feature will help you do that. And it is currently in beta testing right now, but hopefully it will be available for all users around mid-June. So make sure you keep an eye on that announcement. Now that you know our latest updates, I want to share some best practices for creating actionable content that inspires people. So the first is going to be giving context to your ideas. So context helps your ideas to reach the right audience at the right time. it tells Pinterest what your pin is all about. So that context is all that information that your pin provides. So for example, it's the image or video that's shared, the title and description, the board that it's saved to, and any relevant tags that you add to that content. So make sure you're always setting that scene for your audience with a descriptive title to let them know what they're watching. And just so you know, content that's introduced with titles are actually seen 32% longer than content without. So just keep that in mind. And we all know, of course, how much work it takes to be coming up with all these optimized titles and descriptions, which is why we're so glad that Tailwind is our partner. Can help with this, utilizing those integrated AI tools. They can go ahead and generate those titles for you. And hopefully that eliminates some of that writer's block that I'm sure all of you, when you're a content creator, you inevitably come across. Next is going to be all about optimizing visuals. So making sure all of your content is high quality, the images and videos, that's very key. The best performing content on Pinterest incorporates solid lighting, great framing, high resolution assets or stylized effects and or text like I just mentioned. And most Pinterest users are on mobile, so that vertical aspect ratio is going to work best. Make sure the subject of your content, I kind of mentioned this, but is very clear on the image, using text to reinforce what the idea is about and even what people can expect to find when they click on that image. So this is even more important if you're creating content in lists. Like think of those contents that you write that are like, the top 5 best beach destinations or the top 10, teen bedroom ideas, making sure to always include those in your content. And then adding optimized details. You can see in this screenshot, it's kind of in that last flow when you're posting something, but ideally you'll want to make sure that your pin details are about less than 50 characters is usually our best practice, we say. These pin details are always going to play a major role in search. So making sure you're always including relevant keywords for targeting and try and avoid kind of that like fluff and filler words. This is a big one. Always remember to save your pins to one of your related curated boards. You'll want to make sure that your board title and description are specific and focused so that people can easily find and explore your ideas. Just make that board name very straightforward. Think about what somebody would be typing into Pinterest where your board would pop up in that search. So to recap, I know I just gave you a lot of insight today, but just to do a quick recap. So Pinterest is different from other platforms. We like to call ourselves a visual search engine. So we rely on that pin context to surface the content at the right time for the right audience. The longevity of a pin's life is far greater than any other platform. Pins can continue to drive traffic and engagement for months or even years after they are initially shared, gaining sustained visibility and audience engagement over time. A little bit about our audience. Like I mentioned, we have that intent-driven audience, meaning Pinterest users are actively searching and seeking inspiration, making them a highly engaged and motivated audience. And on Pinterest, it's about saves over likes and followers. That's key because the most inspiring pins are the ones that people want to try. Pinterest really prioritizes content with high signals of meaningful engagement. The strongest metrics to measure how people are engaging with a pin and how an idea is resonating with people are going to be those saves, those clicks, because it shows this clear indication that people are eager to find out more or intend to revisit that pin later. So I'll go ahead and hand it back to Susan for some questions.
Madison, thank you so much. That was really helpful. I love the information, especially emphasizing how Pinterest is different. And I think the new features that you're adding are great. So let's dive into some of the questions. I think probably we'll start with the favorite question of all pinners everywhere. How often should people be pinning on Pinterest?
Yes, this is definitely a popular question. We like to say to post about new content at least once per week, but typically less than 25 times per week. So unlike other social networks where that reach peaks in the first 24 hours, on Pinterest, your reach will grow over time as people discover, save your pins, and Pinterest algorithm favors the quality of the content, not recency. So that Pinterest feed algorithm is going to recognize, this steady, regular posting as a sign of good engagement with audiences. So making sure that it's always that kind of regular weekly activity that you're having that posting cadence, instead of that kind of like all in once flurry trying to get everything up.
Wow, that's really helpful. Thanks. So quality over recency is honored. That's super. Okay, another question that we hear a lot. How do I find keywords to use on Pinterest? That's the first part. And then the second part that comes with that is usually where should I use keywords once I find them?
This is another great question. So I will say keywords play a pretty crucial role in making your content discoverable, especially, by our search engine, by users. So it's always best practice to utilize strategic keywords to build context. I kind of mentioned that a little bit, helping your audience. It really helps your audience, find this like, effortlessly find and kind of understand and engage with your content. So you'll want to use keywords in your profile and your bio, that are going to be like descriptive, explanatory. So the audience that sees your profile kind of knows who you are and what to expect. And then make sure you're including keywords in places like the titles and descriptions of your boards, of your pins. That's actually, I feel, is a place a lot of people miss, is adding the title or the keywords in the boards, because there is a description in the boards as well. Always adding them to pins, of course, making them, like I said, as straightforward as possible. And kind of by integrating these keywords into your content's descriptions, those titles and, tags, you can potentially improve that searchability, and it really helps to, potentially increase the chances of it appearing in those relevant search results, which, ultimately hopefully could drive, more traffic to your content, hopefully enhance its visibility and reach. And said the places to find these keywords. So we actually have a number of resources. We recommend finding keywords through our basically our search and trends resources. So we have a Pinterest trends tool. We have our Pinterest search bar, the Pinterest predicts report, and also our creators site. So if you're unfamiliar, I'll kind of touch on like what all of those elements, all those resources are. But our Pinterest trends tool, this is a self-serve tool built to basically inform your content strategy. So you can use this tool to explore our top trending terms, see how people have searched for it over time, and that data can really inform the content you create and ensure that you're consistently on trend. The Pinterest search bar, that is, something, if you're a Pinterest user, it's something that you use every single day. But if you notice, when you search something in the Pinterest search bar, auto-populated keywords pop up that are relevant to whatever you're searching for. So go ahead and copy all of those down and make sure you're including every single one of those in your titles and descriptions or the tags that you're adding, because those are all relevant searches that have to do with what you're looking for. So that's a great place to find keywords. If you haven't checked it out, our Pinterest Predicts report, this is a major resource for keywords and trends info. So our Pinterest Predicts report is kind of our not yet trending report. It shares emerging trends for the coming year. So it came out at the end of 2023. Our next one will come out at the end of 2024. And it's basically your guide for what people will shop, try, what they'll buy next. And when it comes out at the end of every year, you can kind of like explore what the breakout trends are going to be for the next year. It's all backed by Pinterest research, and you can actually, if you know about the Pinterest Predicts report, if you actually use it, you actually can get ahead of everyone else and create content around those trends, potentially maybe even owning a trend before anyone else does. The last is, I will say, keep in mind, Pinterest users are often searching for ideas weeks or even months in advance. So you can kind of utilize these resources to plan out your content with all those keywords and key moments in mind. So kind of like ask yourself, like, what are the upcoming holidays? topics or like cultural moments that are relevant to my audience, and then start searching for keywords around those.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much. We're huge fans of Pinterest Predicts here. It's really fun to look at it and then see what happens. You guys are great at those.
Gosh, all the
Uh,
trends, I'm seeing them everywhere. It's crazy.
yeah, so definitely check that out. So, Madison, what are some of the benefits of using Tailwind for your Pinterest marketing? And from Pinterest point of view, what's the value that Tailwind offers its users?
Definitely. This is obviously a great question for this audience. So utilizing a social media scheduling platform like a Tailwind, especially Tailwind, because of all the tools and features that we have come to love, especially that Tailwind is integrated with the Pinterest API. So being able to utilize Tailwind to create content can be a super valuable tool in really optimizing your Pinterest strategy. A couple reasons. One being that it allows you to have a consistent posting schedule. So by scheduling your Pinterest content in advance, you can really ensure this consistent posting schedule, and that regularity can really help you stay top of mind with your audience, stay top of mind in the Pinterest algorithm, and potentially increase your visibility on Pinterest. The automation behind it. So with like all those automated posting features, you can really maintain this consistent presence, like I kind of mentioned on Pinterest, even when you're not actively posting. So obviously it saves you a lot of time. And it also ensures that your content kind of reaches your audience at those right times. I mean, you can start, scheduling your content now for the holiday season if you want to like start getting that off your plate. It really does a great job with that. I'll say the analytics tools are super important as well, especially being able to like track your performance, track your performance of your Pinterest content, and then really being able to analyze those metrics. You can then identify what types of content is really resonating best with your audience and kind of adjust your strategy to improve your reach and engagement. So taking all those learnings and all that content that you've already scheduled in Tailwind, taking learnings and then potentially updating it if you need to. And then we love how much scheduling platforms allow for collaboration, especially if you're a small business owner. Maybe if you have a couple team members, this really helps you to optimize all of your like working together, your collaboration, especially on that content creation and the scheduling. And you can really leverage the expertise of all of your team members to create that engaging, high quality content that drives engagement on Pinterest. And these practices can really help maximize reach, maximize engagement, ultimately, potentially leading to that increased visibility, interaction, and growth on the platform. So Tailwind does an impressive job with that.
Wow, thank you. Really excited about that. I think, did you have a slide you wanted to show, or do you want to save that for later?
Oh, yes, that's right. I do. Yeah, so it basically was kind of what I was covering today. And if anyone's watching or wants to learn more about that, we can definitely go into that. But yeah, so it's basically what I covered.
Super. Thanks, Madison. So here's a question that we hear a lot from our users. Are videos or still images best for pins?
Oh, yes, this is a good question. We get this a lot from, all of our audiences. I feel like it's that question that always keeps coming up, but the answer that we kind of it really depends on your content goals and kind of like what you're sharing. Video is great for telling a story or providing like a tutorial. Maybe you're making a recipe. So it like really helps you connect with your audience, and it also stands out in people's feeds as they're going through the searches that they found. Just make sure, obviously, like I kind of mentioned, adding that text overlay, since people typically watch with sound off. And then static images are really great for driving traffic. So if you have a small business and you want to drive people to products, or if you have a blog for recipes, or if you wanted to like monetize something like your fashion content, if you're trying to drive to your affiliate platform. That static image will be best for that. But of course, with all content strategies, we always say it's really important to test both formats and then kind of review your personal analytics to determine what is resonating best with your audience.
Wow, that's really helpful. Thank you so much. A question that we have heard from some of our affiliates is the most important thing nowadays to focus on trends within Pinterest and create pins that are relevant to those trends?
So this kind of goes back to what I was talking about when I was talking about the keyword stuff, but trends is one of my favorite things. The trends data that we can get from Pinterest is actually one of my favorite things to talk about. So I'm so glad this is a question. But basically, using our trends data is this really powerful resource in helping you to build an inspiring content strategy. So I would say start with finding trends that align with your overall strategy, using those tools that I mentioned earlier, and use them in conjunction with the learnings from your analytics, from your audience insights, to kind of craft your content. So remember how I mentioned earlier, people on Pinterest aren't necessarily passively scrolling through their feed like they do on other platforms. They come with a plan in mind. They're very much here to put together a plan, their next meal or a big event in their life, and they're really primed to act when they find new ideas that they like. So it's that audience planning mindset that really makes our trends uniquely future forward. And it's how we know what's next. And then our audience's purchase intent makes trends on Pinterest even more valuable. So by using those kind of trends tools that I mentioned earlier, really allows you to stay ahead of the curve. They provide a ton of insights into emerging trends before they become mainstream. And by identifying these trends early on, you can then incorporate them into your creative planning, and really develop content that aligns with the current interests and preferences of your target audience.
Wow, that's really helpful. Thanks so much. Yeah, so here's another question about repurposing content. Is it okay to repurpose from content? I'm sorry, is it okay to repurpose content from other networks as a pin? And if I do that, do I need to use a special format?
Yeah, so I actually saw this question come in through the Q&A. So I actually had my teammate quickly throw in a slide just because I felt like it would be helpful to have a visual for this question. So it definitely is totally fine to repurpose content. We definitely encourage you to use your existing content from other networks. As I mentioned earlier, we know how much you're juggling when it comes to content creation. So we see repurposing of content as a process that really involves, breathing new life into your already pre-existing content, maybe repackaging it into different formats. So I wanted to throw up this slide just to show you some good, tips and tricks. But in general, you should kind of think when you're repurposing your content, how you can kind of recraft the content, maybe resize it or reformat it, those existing assets while keeping that messaging and content strategy the same. You can reconcept it by kind of using existing creative from a different campaign, but maybe pivot your messaging and content strategy into like a new context. Or you can maybe renew your content by mixing existing assets with new designs or stock imagery, but keeping that repurposing content, essentially the same, that messaging the same. And Tailwind is actually a great tool to use for repurposing content, especially with that ghostwriter tool, that AI tool that I mentioned earlier. It really helps to make it easy to generate, new engaging copy specifically for Pinterest on that content that you might be repurposing. And then how I mentioned earlier, our new feature, the Instagram account claiming tool, that will also share your Instagram content automatically to Pinterest. So definitely make sure that you turn that on in your settings.
Super. Thanks for that. So this has been, like I've said so many times already, but you've given us a ton of information. What are some other good sources for the latest, greatest Pinterest info?
I got to shout out our creator site because the team behind it has worked so hard on it. It launched last year and it is just a wealth of knowledge. It truly has so much information on that site. It shares, how to get started, grow and succeed, trends to try. I keep talking about I'm pushing the trends because I want you guys to understand how important they are. So that's on our website. We have success stories on there. And then you'll also find our Pinterest Content Academy there, which has awesome creator-led tutorials to help kind of guide your content creation journey at every stage. So make sure you check that out. And then we also have a Pinterest creators page. So we have our own at Pinterest creators profile on Pinterest, and we have tons of tips and tricks, little videos and static images there as well.
That's great. Thanks. So, what's one insider piece of advice that you feel like people should know, Madison?
An insider piece of advice. I brought this up earlier, but I feel like it's not a lot of people know about this feature, but it's called Audience Insights. So when you click on your Analytics tab, there's something called Audience Insights, and this feature actually reveals the topics that your audience is interested in on Pinterest. And I just feel like it gives you so much great knowledge and just makes the content creation process so much easier because it really helps you kind of get ahead of the trends to create. And that content that your audience actually wants to see. So kind of understanding your audience and their interests helps you just make that, better, more engaging content. This feature also tells you what other users on Pinterest are interested in. So it really is a great tool to help provide inspiration for your next pin, whether it be static or video, and really helps to give you a lot of ideas that can kind of like help expand your audience reach if that's something that you're interested in. So these insights are very powerful predictors of that engagement on the platform and can really be used to more effectively tailor your content strategy to your audience on Pinterest or tailor your content strategy for all of your platforms because you can actually see what people are interested in.
Okay, that's great advice. Jotting that down, audience insights. If you didn't know, you heard it here first. Madison says, thank you. You covered so much great information for our audience, Madison. We really appreciate everything that you shared. And I know that our audience is going to find this incredibly helpful as they work on their Pinterest content. Because we're here to do as well as know, I think you had a special challenge to help people get started applying all the great information. Can you fill us in?
Yes. So before you leave today, so I wanted to do this fun little challenge with you just to help you kind of utilize all the learnings that we shared today. So first, number one, of course, is going to make sure you sync your Pinterest account to your Tailwind account. And then once you do that, go ahead and head over to our creator site that I just mentioned. So it's just creators.pinterest.com. And at the top, you're going to see a section called Trends to Try. So we actually just updated it today. So make sure you head over there and you'll be able to, when you actually scroll on the site, you'll be able to find the seasonal and viral moments that people on Pinterest are starting to search for the month of June. So if you want to get ahead of those trends, go there, create a piece of content around one of those trends that are listed that kind of inspires you, and then schedule that content through Tailwind. And then as an extra step, when you also go on that specific page on our creator site, you'll be able to see a section that says about submitting your content. So go ahead and submit that content as well on that creator site, and you could potentially be featured in Pinterest content and on our socials.
Oh, I love that. And there are new trends ready for people right now. So,
Yes, yes, they're
yeah,
brand new. Go get them.
next stop right after this.
Yes.
Great. Well, Madison, thank you so very much. We're really thrilled with having you here with all the information that you shared with everyone. So, thank you so much, everyone. Go connect your Pinterest account to Tailwind, and and we'll look forward to seeing all the great things you create.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you all so much for joining us today and happy pinning.